Hi friends, I'm Amanda, this is Kimberly, and for today's video I thought I would focus on some shapes that I myself have been turning to daily for the past 5 months. So for those of you who don't know me, I have lost 100 pounds. I lost the weight about 6 or 7 years ago and I've managed to keep it off, but I haven't always been dedicated to a fitness regime. So for about the past 5 months I've been strengthening my body with a new fitness thing, 30-35 minutes a day, and the only thing with it is I noticed that the programs don't offer enough stretches. So I like to intuitively listen to what I need, and I find I've been turning to the same shape. So I thought I would share them with you. So we're not getting crazy here, it's another simple class. We don't necessarily need any blocks or anything, but they could be nice to have around you. So yeah, roll on out your mat and let's get started. I thought we could begin in a reclined position, so we'll just go ahead and start to make our way down. And once you find yourself in a reclined position, you can adjust your hips as you need, your shoulders. Make sure your shoulders aren't crunched up towards your ears, let them relax. You can tuck the knees in towards the body, give yourself a little hug, maybe a little rock back and forth on that low back, feels good here. Just start to bring some awareness into the body. And check out our monkey minds and leave them off the mat. If you found a rock, you can start to find your way through stillness. You can go ahead and release the knees and let the feet come towards the earth, and you can let the knees just fall in towards each other. The hands might be comfortable on the hips, maybe by your sides. Palms up or palms down, depends on what feels best for your body. Just a reminder, this is your practice, so please take the shapes as you need them. Do not hesitate to make any modifications. Just be proud of yourself for showing up. Just going to start by noticing our breath. Taking a nice deep breath in towards the belly. Feeling it fill up. Exhale, feeling it soften. Inhaling, drawing that breath in. Exhale, let it go. Take another deep breath just like this. Feel the air filling into the belly. And on your exhale, I invite you to open the mouth and breathe it all out with a sigh. Telling our body to chill out. Then you can go ahead and start to draw that right knee in towards the chest, maybe grabbing onto it with both hands, maybe letting that left leg come long. That left leg might stay bent, that's totally all right, depending on where you are. It might even be different on a day-to-day. I like to draw that knee in towards the chest and find a little rock side to side here, maybe through the crease of the hip. And I draw that knee wide towards the armpit. Go ahead and draw that knee back through center. We're going to extend that right heel up towards the sky. So you might just interlace your fingers around the back of your leg here. Maybe it's maybe you're reaching around the back of your shin. Make sure your shoulders are still nice and soft though. They haven't hiked up towards your ears. Feeling a nice release on the back of that leg. If you have the space, you might reach for your yogi toes with that right hand. If not, just go ahead and hold on to the back of that thigh. Maybe the back of the calf. Again, that left leg can be bent or straight depending on what feels best for you. And I just like to find a little rock here with that right leg. Rocking it through the joint a little bit. The heels flexed, almost like you could step onto the ceiling. Then bringing that foot through center, you're going to start to bend that right knee. You're going to take that right hand and you're going to reach for the outside of that right foot. You're coming into a half happy baby here. You might need to bend that left knee to make this shape a little more accessible for you. You're going to have that right foot almost like you could step onto the ceiling, and that right knee is drawing down towards the earth, almost this opposing pull of forces. So you're stepping up with the knees drawing down at the same time. A nice opening through that hip. If you do have the space, if you do have the mobility, you can try straightening through that right leg, maybe straightening it nice and long, maybe not straightening it at all, maybe just the half happy baby is enough. Maybe extending the leg out, maybe not. Drawing that knee back in. And go ahead and draw that knee in towards the body, releasing the outside of that foot. That left hand will find the right knee as that right arm reaches out long. You start to draw that left knee or that right knee over towards the left. As you get to know me, you'll start to learn that I flutter through my lefts and my rights. I'm just keeping you on your toes, my friends. Just checking to see if you're awake. We'll get there together. Don't worry about it. So if this feels like too much, you might bend through that bottom knee, or maybe you'll bring that right knee onto something for a little support, maybe some blocks or some cushions, or just making a fist with that left hand. Don't hesitate though to bend that bottom knee entirely and just have the knees falling to the left. That's all right too, just for a little twist here into the spine. Next inhale, drawing ourselves back through center. You can let that right leg come long beside the left and give them a little shake. Go ahead and bend through the knees once again. This time the left knee is going to draw in towards the chest, towards the armpit. That right knee can stay bent, maybe it's going to come long. Like to find maybe a little rock with that left knee, massaging into that hip crease. Coming back through stillness, drawing that knee wide towards the left armpit. Bringing that knee back through the center, you're going to start to extend that left heel towards the sky. So the hands might just interlace behind the thigh, maybe behind the calf. Maybe if you have the space, the fingers are going to hold onto your yogi toes. You always have the option as well to grab a scarf or a strap or something nice and long that you can loop around the foot to help hold here. If that feels better for you, it's always an option. Whatever the shape looks like for you, just making it feel good is what's important. Feel that sensation. You might find a little rock through that left foot into that hip crease, into that hip socket. Feel free to stop anywhere that you feel needs a little bit of extra love, feels a little extra tight. Maybe it's over to the right a little bit. That's where it is for me, but might be different for you, friends. So just listening to our bodies. Then that left foot's going to come back through center, and we're going to start to bend that left knee in towards the body. That left hand is going to reach for the outside of that left foot. You might need to slide that right foot up towards you here, bending that right knee. Maybe that right leg stays long. Right hand can stay on the right hip to help you feel a little more grounded if that hip feels like it wants to pop up. So again, that left foot's almost acting as though you could step onto a cloud, and that left knee is drawing towards the earth while that left foot is reaching for the sky. Nice release through that hip. Now this might be enough for you. If you like to go a little deeper and you do have the space and the mobility, you might extend that left leg out a little bit, extending through the heel. Bring it back in. This is not necessary. This is not accessible to everybody. Maybe the leg only comes out a little bit. Maybe it doesn't straighten at all. That's all right too. Just feeling extra, a little extra into the hip. You can start to draw that left knee back in towards the body, give it a little squeeze. As that right hand finds the left knee, the left arm is going to draw open to the side. You're going to start to draw the left knee across the body towards the right. So just like the other side, you might find yourself bending that right knee. This might make it more accessible. Play with the amount of how much it's bent. Maybe that left knee is going to come onto a blanket or a bolster or a block. Maybe you're just going to use a little fist with your hand here. Noticing if one side feels different than the other. I know I sure do. Just embracing that. Your yoga practice is such a beautiful time to check in with your thoughts. That monkey brain that tends to get a hold of us. Can you come back to the sensations in the body? What it feels like to be present on your mat. Go ahead and start to draw that left knee back, going towards the center. You can let that left leg come long. Give those knees a little shake. Magical. Now I like to bend through my knees here. You have a couple options. If rocking and rolling along the length of your spine does not feel okay, you can let that right arm come long, roll onto the right side into a fetal and just come to a seat. But otherwise, I like to take a free little trip to the chiropractor. So I like to find myself drawing the knees towards the body, bringing the hands just behind the thighs, and I start to find a little rock and a roll along the length of my spine. Sometimes I get some crickety cracks, pippity pops. And then I come to a seat. You can rock and roll as long as feels good. I like to let those knees fall out to the side here. The bottoms of the feet will come together, coming like this into our butterfly shape. So you're going to slide the soles of the feet in towards the body. We won't be here too long. You might need to place your hips up on a folded blanket or something if this feels like too much. We're just going to be here for a moment. Go ahead and start to draw the heart space forward and up. Gaze comes towards the sky, knees dropping towards the earth. Exhale, start to round, send that low back behind you, chin tucks towards the chest. Inhale, coming up. Exhaling in. We'll do one more just like that. Inhale, leading with that heart, gaze coming up. Exhale, leading with that low back, chin tucks. Beautiful. Go ahead and make your way back up to a tall spine. You can use your hands to bring those knees back up. Bring our feet about hip width apart and just let the feet windshield wiper tick-tock to the side. And go ahead and make our way into a tabletop shape here. So coming into our tabletop shape, you want to stack your hips over your knees and your shoulders over your wrists. So I like to start by taking that right foot, and we're just going to step it forward. Nothing fancy here, just going to step that right foot forward. You might like to have blocks on either side of that right foot here for a little bit of height if you do have them. If you don't worry about it. We just like to keep our spine nice and straight. We're going to go ahead and make our way up onto our knee into a low lunge. Those back toes can be tucked or untucked depending on what feels more stable for you. You want to make sure that that front knee is not passing your ankle, and we're going to draw the hips back so that that left hip is a little more over top of the left ankle. So we will drop into it, but we're going to start just by drawing that left hip forward and drawing that right hip back, finding almost the slight tuck to the tailbone here. You should start to feel a nice release across the front of that left hip flexor. Feeling it release, soften. You might use your hands on that right leg for stability. Maybe they're on some blocks. Maybe you're feeling nice and balanced and you want to bring your hands up to the sky. Again, this is your practice, just making it work for you. Remembering your breath, feeling that breath into the belly. You can start, if this feels good enough for you, this feels great, you can stay here. Maybe not great, but you know, you feel it. You can start to drop into it if you like, if that feels okay for you. We still want to keep that right hip aiming back, left hip aiming forward. Maybe we're gonna reach our fingertips up towards the sky and we're gonna exhale, soften through the shoulders. I like to bring that right elbow down to the right knee and then reach that left arm up and over. Fingertips reaching. And as I inhale, draw that left elbow back, almost like you're bringing the gaze under the armpit. You should feel a nice opening through the side body. Exhale, reaching, almost like you want to reach to the corner edge of the mat. Inhale, draw that elbow back. Exhale, reach. Inhale, draw the elbow back. Exhale, go ahead and start to plant those hands down towards the earth. They might come onto blocks on either side of that foot. Maybe they're just coming to the ground. We're going to start to send our hips back. And as we do that, our right toes are going to reach up towards the sky. We're trying to lengthen through that right leg. This can be intense for some of us, my friends, depending on how tight you're feeling in your hamstrings. They can get pretty bound up. So the knee might be a little bit bent. That's okay if you're not finding full length here. That right hip is aiming back, however, and the left hip's aiming forward as the toes aim for the sky. We're going to inhale, we're going to find some length through the spine. We're going to exhale, we're going to start to roll our nose down towards our knee. Inhale, we're going to roll ourselves up. Exhale, we're going to roll ourselves down. We're really light on the wrists here, maybe just even on the fingertips. Inhale up, exhaling down. Go ahead and release here. Let the nose come towards the knee. That right hip's aiming back, left hip's aiming forward. Feel that release on the right side, on that right leg. Notice if your face has gotten tense. Can you soften the jaw? Come back to your breath. This might be enough for you here. Maybe you're going to plant the left hand on the inside of that right foot. You can option to sweep that right hand up towards the sky. So that right hip's still aiming back. Feel that right hip dropping. Feel letting gravity do its thing. Again, you might just be here. Maybe you're up here on some blocks. Maybe the knee's bent. Making this shape work for you. Finding your version. Nobody knows what it feels like in your body except for you. So making these shapes work. One more breath here. Right hand starts to release. You can start to bend back into that right knee. And go ahead and plant the hands and you can step that right foot back. From here, I invite you to walk the hands about a foot or so forward as the hips stay nice and high over the hips. Let's try that again. The hips stay nice and high over the knees, my friends. You can go ahead and start to melt your heart space down towards the earth. Maybe this is as far as you come. Maybe you're coming a little lower. Maybe your forehead comes to hang out or your chin. Just embracing where you are, feeling nice and open, feeling that connection of the heart space with the earth. Then I invite you to start to let the hips sink their way towards the heels as the fingertips sort of drag along the earth, almost like a traction. As you start to roll yourself onto your knees into a seat. Beautiful. We're going to go ahead and find that tabletop shape once again. This time we're going to step forward with our left foot. See, just check it, just testing you. Stepping forward with our left foot. So you can go ahead and use those blocks again on either side if that was what you did before. Maybe just going to come on up to that knee. So we're going to start with a bit of a shorter stance here. So making sure that that left knee is over the left ankle and there's not too much space here between your stance. We're not dropped into it yet. So that right hip is aiming forward as that left hip draws back. You almost find this slight scoop to the tailbone here, tucking it under just a little bit. You start to feel that release along the right front of the hip flexor. Maybe even into the glute a little. Really breathe into it. And your hands can be supporting you wherever you need, feels best. Maybe on blocks or the knee, maybe your hands are to the sky. Remembering your breath here, making sure there's no pinching in the low back. Option to start to drop forward into that hip a little. Want to make sure that that front knee doesn't pass that front ankle, however. You might reach those fingertips up towards the sky as you sink into the hips. Right hip still aiming forward, left hip still aiming back. Left elbow might come to the left knee as the right fingertips reach up and over this time. Inhale, draw that right elbow back. Exhale, reach for the corner of the mat with your fingertips. Inhale, open, draw the elbow back. Exhale, reach. One more. Inhale, draw the elbow back. And on the exhale, you can start to bring the fingertips down towards the earth as you send the hips back towards the heels a little, and that left leg gets nice and long. So again, you might find blocks on either side of the left leg here. Maybe not. Maybe the hands are just on the earth. Toes are up towards the sky. Left hip aiming back, right hip aiming forward. Inhale, we're going to start to draw ourselves up towards the sky. Exhale, nose comes towards the knee. Inhale, we're going to find some length. And exhale, we're going to release. Last one. Inhale, rolling yourself up. Exhale, rolling yourself down. Nose comes towards the knee. Feel that release. Notice if any emotions are stirring up here. Just embracing them, letting them be felt. So this might be enough for you. That right hand might come onto the earth as you sweep the left fingertips up towards the sky to intensify the stretch. This is deepening it. So if you're already feeling a lot, please do not try and push yourself into another shape. This is just if you weren't feeling quite enough, you wanted to get a little deeper into it. That left hip's dropping back, fingertips towards the sky. Nice release, remembering our breath. Go ahead and soften that forehead, soften the eyes, let the jaw relax. Lose that tension from the face. One more breath. On the exhale, you can start to bend back into that front knee, hands coming to the earth if it wasn't already. You can send that left knee back. We're going to start to walk our hands forward as our hips stay positioned over our knees. We're going to let our heart space start to melt towards the earth, finding that puppy pose again. Opening through the shoulders. Undo some of the upper body work maybe you've done, or maybe just the tension from rounding. One more breath. Just inhale, you're going to start to roll yourself up as you walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. And you have two options here to come into this next shape. So you can always just stay in a tabletop shape and step that right knee forward, coming into your version of pigeon. Or that's if you just want to keep some weight off of the wrists. Maybe even you're just coming, oops, stealing Kimberly's hair here. If you want to keep weight off of the wrists, a nice thing to do is to come up onto your fists here. So if you are suffering from carpal tunnel, being up on your fists can really take some of that pressure out of the wrist if you're just doing little transitions on them. So you have the option to just step forward if that's successful. Otherwise, I invite you to come into a down dog. So you're gonna press into the hands, spread the fingertips nice and wide, send the hips up towards the sky as the heels aim towards the earth. Almost like you want to squeeze the head in between the arms, the biceps. And then I invite you to extend that right foot towards the sky. I'm going to bring that right leg nice and high, reaching with the right toes. Then on the exhale, we're going to start to roll ourselves forward as that right knee finds our right wrist for our pigeon pose. So you can come into this shape lots of different ways. I like to come into this shape because I feel like it gives me the most openness through my hips as I enter into it. But please feel free to play with that. So you might like to use a block or a cushion or something to stick underneath that right hip if it's feeling a little bit much, because this is a very intense shape, very intense hip opener. So if this doesn't feel accessible to you, just hang in tight and I'll give you another option. For our pigeon pose, however, we're going to find some nice length on our inhale, growing through the spine. Take a look back, make sure that left leg's nice and long behind your body in a nice straight line. And then on our exhale, we're going to start to release ourselves down towards the earth. Maybe our forearms are going to come to the ground, maybe not. Maybe you're up here, that's okay too. Go ahead and remember to stick something under that right hip. If you're feeling nice and open, maybe you're just going to find yourself flattened onto the earth, just embracing wherever you are in the shape. Feeling into that hip, sending breath there, allowing it to relax. If this shape's not accessible for you, I invite you to come onto your back, in which case you'll take your right foot and you'll bring it to the left knee, and you'll draw that left knee towards the body, maybe interlacing the fingers behind the left thigh. Right knee aims away as the right foot stays flexed to protect the knee, and the left knee draws towards the body. So that is your counter, or that is your other option, I should say, if pigeon is too intense for you, because we are all at different spaces on our journey and in our bodies, and just embracing that is what's important, and really catering to your body so that you don't get hurt. This practice is about feeling good. It's a yoga practice, not a yoga perfect. Be here for 2 more breaths. If you do need longer, please feel free to pause the video and hang out in this shape until you feel that tension melt away, because sometimes it takes a little longer on one side than the other. The benefit of a video. Otherwise, you can start to make your way back up onto your hands. Maybe rolling your neck a little side to side. Then if you have anything under that right hip, you're just going to move it out to the side. We're going to start to make our way onto our bottom here. So I like to shift myself onto the side and draw the left knee up. You might find a little shift here. I often find that this helps me move into my right hip a little bit if I find a little movement. And then I'll let that right hip come down and draw the left knee in. So starting with the foot tucked, if that's not an option for you and it's too tight across the top of that foot, please feel free to bend and put the foot off to the side. Otherwise, you're going to lift the hips and you're going to start to send yourself back. You might come onto the forearms. Maybe you're just hanging out on your hands. That's okay too. So this front leg is sort of like a 90-90, but this left foot is tucked. You might be up on your hands, maybe you're coming onto a bolster, some cushions, maybe you're making your way down onto your forearms. If you do find yourself that you have the accessibility or the mobility to go all the way down onto your back, just be really mindful of the low back if you do. You want to keep that belly button, that pelvis sort of tucked in, the ribs sort of drawn in towards the earth, so you're not splaying open and causing any strain on that low back. Just feeling a nice release again across the top of that left thigh. Next inhale, if you found your way down, we're going to start to make our way back up, coming onto our hands. Might finding our way forward. You can walk the hands out in front of you, maybe walking the hands down, maybe onto the elbows, maybe not, maybe up here is where is enough for you. If you do make it down onto the elbows and you find that it's not intense enough, you might start to walk yourself over to that left side a little bit. You really want to feel into a new space in the right hip. I find it gets into a little bit of a different area than our pigeon. Let the face be soft and find your breath. One more breath. inhale, and start to make your way back through center. If you had found a little bit to the side there, you start to make your way back up. From here, I invite you to bring that left leg out nice and long. We're gonna draw that right foot into the left thigh. So from here, your left forearm will come down to the earth. Maybe it'll come onto a block or a cushion on the inside of that left thigh if that feels more accessible. If you can, find a little tuck to that thumb under your calf. Right fingertips find the right rib cage. Inhale, we're gonna draw the right elbow back. Then exhale, we're gonna start to reach ourselves over as though you wanna touch the toes on the left foot. Inhale, we're gonna open that elbow, gaze into the armpit. Exhale, we're gonna reach for the toes. Inhaling, reach that elbow back, gaze comes under. Exhale, reach. As though you want to touch the toes on the left foot. They might make it, might not. Embracing where you are, feeling open through that side body. Making space for bigger breaths. One more breath here. Next inhale, reaching that right arm up. We're going to go ahead and find that tabletop position once again. So you have your options here for coming into your pigeon on the other side. If you did it from tabletop, feel free to do that. Otherwise, we're going to make our way into our down dog. So go ahead and spread the fingertips nice and wide. Tuck those toes. Going to send the hips up towards the sky as you get nice and strong through the shoulders, through the hands. Heels aiming towards the earth. You might bring that right foot just a little more through center as the left toes start to reach for the sky. Try and keep the hips squared off. Reach. And then start to draw the body forward as the left knee comes forward towards the left wrist. And you lower that foot and leg towards the earth. Coming into our pigeon pose on the other side. So go ahead and adjust yourself as you need here. Feel nice and tall. If you need to tuck a block or a cushion or anything underneath that left hip, please feel free. Otherwise, finding some height. Make sure that that right leg is nice and long in line. And on your exhale, you might start to come down onto your forearms. Maybe not. Maybe you're going to come onto a cushion or some blocks. Feel free to build yourself a support of any sort. Embracing where you are, noticing any emotions coming up. And again, if this isn't accessible, finding your way onto the version on your back. That left ankle will be coming to your right knee this time. You'll be drawing that right knee in towards the body as the left knee aims away. You're going to stay flexed through the left toes. So that's if you're on your back. Otherwise, we're going to find this magically intense shape. Breathe into it, friends. You'll thank me when it's over. Notice the emotions coming up. Remember your breath. Soften your face. And try and consciously soften that left hip. Send your breath there. Really focus on letting that left hip release. Be here for 3 more breaths. Again, my friends, if you feel like you need to stay here a little longer, go ahead and hang out until it feels like you've accomplished what you've come for. Otherwise, you can start to make your way back up onto your hands. Maybe rolling through the neck a little bit. If you're on your back, just making your way back up to a seat. I like to find that little shift here between onto my left hip. So you get, if you had anything under the hip, just taking it out to the side. I like to find this little rock. This might not be for everybody, but for me, it feels really good. It feels like it's getting into a new little space. Let the left hip come to the earth as that right knee starts to draw forward. Again, you can have that foot tucked. Turn this way so you can see that right foot can be tucked here. If not, and this is too intense, please feel free to just have the foot off to the side like this. Otherwise, it's nice to get a nice stretch across the top of that foot. That left leg is in line with that right knee. Let's flex through the left toes. Give those hips a little lift and tuck. You can start to make your way back. Maybe just being up on your palms is enough. Maybe making your way back to a bolster, some cushions, maybe right onto your forearms or elbows. Maybe making it all the way down. Maybe you're feeling really open today. If you do come all the way onto your back, just being really mindful again of the low back. You want to make sure that that belly button, those ribs are still drawn in towards the earth so that you're helping to protect that low back. Just breathing softness here into the body wherever you're feeling the stretch. Notice the neck might get a little tired sometimes in this shape from holding it, because you want to keep the chin tucked towards the chest to keep the neck long. So if you let your head hang, you can pinch some stuff, doesn't feel good. One more breath here. Starting to make your way back up onto your palms. You can bring your hands out in front of you. You can start to make your way down, maybe onto your elbows, maybe onto a block or something. You feel a release, something stretching through that left hip this time. If you find yourself all the way down on your forearms and it's still not enough, you might walk your way over to the left a little, or sorry, to the right a little bit to help intensify the stretch. You can hang out here. Try and release where you feel that sensation. Try and let the face be soft. Try and let the breath be deep. One more breath. Next inhale, starting to make your way back through center. If you found your way to the right, walking yourself back up. This time we're going to take that right leg. We're going to bring it out nice and long. Kimberly fur. We're going to tuck that left foot onto the inside of that right thigh. Option to bring that right a block or a cushion or something onto the inside of the thigh. Otherwise, if you have the space, that right elbow, right forearm, it come down to the earth. If you can, give that thumb a little tuck under your right calf. Left fingertips will find our left rib cage. And as we inhale, we're going to draw the left elbows back. As we exhale, we're going to start to reach ourselves over as though we want to touch our toes on the right side. Might not make it, maybe you will. Inhale, draw the elbow back. Exhale, reach. Inhale, draw that elbow back. Gaze under the arm, exhale, reach. One more, just like that. Next inhale guides you back up. Finding a seat. Beautiful. You can go ahead and draw that right foot back in. I'll invite you to make your way onto your back for a Shavasana. You can bring the knees in towards the body, give yourself a little hug, a little squeeze. We'll finish off similar to how we started. This time we're going to let our arms come out nice and wide into a T. Maybe you've got somebody on one side of you that you can love on. Bonus. You're going to start to let the knees just fall over towards the left. Nice simple twist here. Maybe that left hand comes to find the right knee to help draw them down. Gaze can be up at the sky, maybe over at the right hand. Nice gentle reset for our spine. Next inhale, coming back through center. Exhale, knees fall to the right this time. Maybe that right hand helps draw the knees down. Gaze can be up at the sky or over at the left hand. Next inhale, coming back through center. Draw the knees in towards the body. Maybe, if it feels good, reaching for the outside of both feet, as though both feet want to step up onto the ceiling. Feeling that connection of the low back into the earth. Maybe even finding a little rock side to side as one heel aims towards the sky and then the next. This little massage into the hips here. Nice release for the low back. Feel free to hang out here as long as you like. Otherwise you can start to let the knees come back in towards the body. Give yourself a squeeze. Maybe bring the forehead up towards the knees and say something kind to yourself here. Even just thank you for showing up for yourself. Exhale, let the body come nice and long. You can find your version of Shavasana. Maybe the knees are bent, the low back's feeling a little testy. Giving the shoulders a little tuck under here. As you soften between the eyes and the forehead. And give your jaw a little wiggle side to side. Notice the support of the earth under the shoulders. That same support under the hips. You feel the energy moving through the arms, through the legs. Feel the energy buzzing in the fingertips, the toes. Signs of life. Just taking a moment of appreciation for that. Recognizing that even when it doesn't feel perfect, that you are perfectly placed. Have the time today, I encourage you to hang out in Shavasana as long as feels good for you. And if not, start to wiggle your fingers and toes, rocking your head side to side, rolling the ankles and the wrists. On an inhale, I invite you to reach overhead, reach from the fingertips through the toes, one long line of the body. Exhale, draw the knees in. If it feels good, maybe bring the forehead up towards the knees. Option to roll onto that right side or find that rock and roll along the length of your spine like we did in the beginning. Coming to a seat. Finding a nice, easy seated pose. On an inhale, bring your arms wide. Gather the energy you need to bring into the rest of the week. Let the palms touch, and exhale, draw that energy into your heart. I'd like to thank you all so much for showing up for yourselves, for hanging out with me, for letting me hold this space for you. It's such an honor. I'm so excited about the adventure ahead. I hope that you all have the most magical rest of your week. You deserve it, friends. Namaste. Kimberly says namaste. Namaste. You say bye. Say bye, Kim. The cutest yoga buddy of all time. Is that you? Are you the yoga panda? Are you yoga panda?